Okay. Hi again, everybody. And by everybody, I mean probably just Patrick. I'm back. I'm doing some more sketching. And I'm also trying to test out some Discord integration into the stream. So you may notice if you're watching, there is a little live stream chat box in the lower left. And if anybody ends up joining, hopping on the Discord server, they will be able to jump into either that chat or my live stream voice channel and be able to be part of the chat with the live stream. And you guys will be able to hear them, I think, hopefully. Anyhow, yeah, I'm gonna get back to drawing. Not for very long today, just probably for like a half hour, but feel free to come hang, hop on the chat if you like. And today I am listening to some music made by a friend of mine, Adam Bishop, a very talented audio producer, soundtrack maker, crafter of musical things. You can find his music over at Bishop Music 65 on SoundCloud. Or just Bishop, I guess. Anyway, yeah, so I'm still doing this whole plague illustration. Let's see, I was doing a different drawing earlier, so I gotta find my ink pen. I guess I was using dry ink, yeah, wasn't I? Just go back to black. So if I recall, we were still working on some background stuff. There's probably some more details I'm going to add to this, but I think for now I'm just going to stick with roughly, the concepts I had sketched out here already. Oops. Sometimes I bump the other tools in my hands with my palm when I try to draw at like a wonky angle. So how's everybody doing today with coronavirus lockdown 2020. I know I am beginning to feel the beginning nagging of stir craziness, but to be honest, it has not been too dramatically different from what I have already experienced in my day-to-day life, because I work from home most days. In fact, I was working most of today, and I was working all last week, and all from the humble pleasures of my abode. That's a weird way to put that. Yeah, it's honestly, my life isn't too very different, but I figure everybody's getting a little cooped up. We could all use some more human connection in our lives. I'm actually about to go play in a little bit. Some friends of mine and I are going to be attempting to figure out how to make online Catan work. Well, not entirely online, but we each have a set of Catan that we're going to lay out on the table, and I guess, I don't know, like put cameras on or something. Somehow we're going to make it work. And then my roommate Claudia has actually already coded a web version of the whatever, like not the resource deck, but the development cards. So that way we can all draw development cards from this online resource without everybody knowing everyone else knowing what you've drawn. And that's really like the only issue with playing remotely, is not being able to have the one deck that everybody's pulling from. To be honest, I don't know that there's really any cards that would be extremely broken if you were all pulling cards from different decks anyway, but I think that it would probably be fine. But this works better because now it's like the correct amount of like cards that are supposed to be in the game, keeping it balanced. So it's pretty cool. If you whip that up in like, I don't know, an hour or something, maybe less. So somehow we're gonna have to figure out, like probably putting the cameras. I don't know, like each of us will have like a camera on our board, so that way we can like mimic what the other person's doing. It's gonna be kind of like playing remote chess in a way. You know, if like someone's on the phone with you or like on a web chat and like, you know, playing chess. And I might do all that in color, I think. Maybe I'll ink it. I don't know. I have the actual big version of the map in my room here, but it's not in a super convenient angle from where I'm sitting, so I'm gonna have to kind of eyeball it. I know roughly what you know, my own map of the world looks like, so kind of be able to figure it out, I think. Might not be perfect, but it will get the job done. I've always really enjoyed map making. It's kind of like one of the funnest parts of world building, you know? I actually made this map, like, was one of the first things that I really started kind of fleshing out with this whole setting, was, you know, kind of figuring out what this whole map was going to look like. And before I even really knew what any of the places were, I just started drawing. Like, I just kind of drew all these land masses and just tried to make it, I wanted to make it feel very different from Earth. You know, the setting really has nothing to do with Earth, and you know, it's just, it doesn't even exist in the same universe. And I wanted like I wanted there to be inspiration for cool places and, you know, stories to unfold and cool landscapes. And I feel very strongly that like a lot of that stuff is, you know, your geography is what informs a lot of, you know, what of everything. It's all the building blocks of your whole world. It's everything that happens starts with geography, and everything from just how cultures develop and the technologies they have, and, you know, the behaviors and like the resources available, the economics, all of that stuff all has to do with just, you know, the landscape. It's where it all begins. And so I ended up, you know, kind of creating this, I just created these random landforms, and then from there, you know, was able to, like, then I started kind of attributing like different like ideas to the spots of the land, you know, to all the different locations. And, you know, kind of started figuring out, like, you know, I got a lot of actually ideas for story arcs and, you know, cultures and characters just from like certain locations, being like, oh, this is in, you know, really close to the equator, so it's really arid or dry or, you know, tropical, and or this is like near this big mountain range and landscape. And just thought that, you know, it ended up giving me a lot of inspiration for, you know, what the stories around those areas might be. You know, so I don't know, maybe some people actually build, you know, write the stories first and then kind of build out, you know, like the landscapes around the stories. But I've always kind of really enjoyed, you know, kind of the opposite, doing the stories from the landscape. You know, it's where it all begins. But yeah, so I've always enjoyed drawing maps. I think they're a lot of fun, and I guess it must have all started with Dungeons and Dragons, which I played only like the teeniest, littlest bit when I was a kid. I think my dad actually ran a session for me and my sister once when we were, you know, on like a little family vacation, and I don't think, you know, we got very far in it, but I do remember spending a lot of time, you know, drawing, like coming up with dungeons and creating, you know, I mean, doing as close as what I could do to game development as a kid, like drawing all these like levels and maps that players would be going through, and kind of trying to build like a cool experience through that. And, you know, I only started. I finally started dungeon mastering, game mastering recently. I tried a few different times to run some groups, but didn't really pan out. Like, groups kind of fell apart and just didn't really work out. But now I actually have an ongoing group going. Oops, didn't mean to do that. I have an ongoing group going that we've actually been, up until coronavirus, we've been running every like 2 weeks or so. And so this is like the first time I've been running like an ongoing kind of extended campaign, which has been a great experience. I've been really enjoying it, and it's just a lot of fun. I think I've always really enjoyed, kind of the concepts behind game design, like building an experience for someone to go through, someone having to work through all these like trials and tribulations and story unfolding through a sequence of events that happen, because there's so much story that happens in just environment design, the sequence with which you move through a space. There's a lot of really great games that tell a story with like no real NPCs, just with like music and voice notes and the way that you progress through an area. And I think that's like a concept I've always really loved, is trying to just tell a story with like take out, you take away all the actions and the things that like actual people, and like what does the actual like the space you're in do for you as an experience. What does it say? Is it ominous? Is it scary? Is it cool? Is it exciting? Is it grandiose and awe-inspiring? There's so much cool stuff you can do with just the design of a space like that. And I think world building is very much the same. It's the first thing. You've got to set the scene. You've got to like, create this picture in everybody's mind of what they are about to experience, or mislead them and make them think they're going to experience one thing when it's in fact quite the opposite. Anyway, I'm not a professional writer or anything, but that's always been like the kind of stuff that I think has been inspired my, where my mind goes when I'm trying to be creative. And when I'm building stuff, I always end up doing like a lot of world building and room building and location building. And so everything with this comic project I've been kind of dabbling with has all been sort of rooted back. It all started with this map, which I didn't even really mean to put quite so much detail in this particular illustration, but it's kind of a fun. Like I said, I get really caught up in it from time to time. I keep kind of glancing over to the map that's hanging on my wall in the room and, kind of like cross-referencing. It really doesn't necessarily matter. It's like I'm trying to get it very, to match. This is where you can see my OCD coming through. Just gonna, I think, probably be a little quicker with it now. I don't think anybody wants to watch me doodling a very slow-paced map for an hour. Or, well, a half hour. Gotta go play Catan in 20 minutes. But I thought this would be a fun way to, test out, see if any of these Discord, settings are working. I suppose I should probably be more proactive about actually sending this out to more of my friends, because I don't think anybody's actually watching. Oh, wait, 3? We might have 3 viewers. Hello, 3 viewers, if you're there. Be sure to let me know if you guys can hear me alright, because I don't know. I am pretty sure I've tested it well enough on my end in terms of making sure all the volume levels are okay and the music isn't blasting too loud and that my voice is louder than the music. But I suppose this is still very much an experiment, so let me know if you think it requires any adjustments. Yeah, so the environment these guys are in is like this metal caravan, like this big, giant, kind of vehicle that is used to transport goods and cargo and all sorts of stuff across these, vast stretches of uninhabited landscape. And so it kind of is both, a cargo ferry, but also a home. And so I like to try and, illustrate all these elements inside of it that are, a little, like, make it look lived in and have, enough stuff in there that it looks actually, populated, and it's not just a very sterile environment. But also, I've been enjoying kind of developing all these, like, kind of geometric bits of architecture inside of here, all based on, like, metal substances and metal-based construction. In this setting, wood is not really very widely available, and I mean, especially with a caravan like this, you wouldn't be constructing a massive thing like this with engines and the kind of power that these things have out of wood anyway. But wood is in this setting a very rare commodity, and a very rare and expensive resource because of its it just can't really be found very easily. It only exists on certain parts of the planet, and those areas are highly fought over because of the value of something like wood. But most of the technology is all based around metals and metal refining. But I try to make all of these components and bits all look like they actually work, like they are, somebody built them, it's not just a magic window stuck in the side of a wall, but actually, is like constructed, has bolts and, reasonably functional mechanism for opening and closing the flaps. Looks like it could actually be a window. Sometimes, it's a little trial and error in terms of getting things to look just right, but I find all the little details, those are the things that make it work, that make it come to life. It's very interesting. I really don't spend this much time ever talking aloud to myself. It's odd how, you get stuck on sometimes these very long threads and tangents just off the top of your head. It's almost a little hypnotic and meditative in a weird way. I once tried journaling to myself with like audio notes, and it's an interesting experience. I can't say I've ever been very good at doing something like that very consistently, but it is, I could see how it could be really interesting and helpful for some people. But this, right now I still have no real picture for what people want to hear about when I'm drawing like this. I try to, I don't know if people are more interested in like instructional, my technique or what I'm doing, or just want to hear somebody talk about their life, or what. I suppose I don't really know yet, but I'm hoping one of these times I'll be able to get some more of my friends in lockdown to participate and create a little more of a community thing here. That way I think we can expect in the coming months we're all going to be spending a lot less time seeing people in person, and having to make up for that with online social experience, which, granted, is not radically different from me. Although I am going to miss going to the coffee shop, because that was usually where I got a lot of my work done, and hang out with most of the people I know. But it's alright, you know. It's a time of change, I think. And change can be scary and definitely nerve-wracking. I know, unfortunately, we are going to probably experience, you know, a good amount of deaths, and which is a really horrible thing, but, you know, I think it is also, there's not a lot of sense in causing undue panic. You just have to be careful. You have to be reasonable, and you have to, you know, we all just have to get through this as best we can. And I think a big part of that is relying on your fellow human, on, you know, still managing to maintain, you know, a sense of social well-being amongst all of us, and, you know, everybody looking out for each other. Wow, this music just got, like, suddenly very, very, like, Empire's, like, Death March kind of thing. Wasn't exactly the vibe I was going for, but it's fine. So yeah, I've got these, you know, kind of cool metallic window panes with, sure there's something outside of them. Maybe I'll fill that in a little later. But just doing like, you know, a lot of like these little fan vents. And you've got like some bolts and everything holding it together. Even, oh, I guess, oh right, I've got the YouTube chat open too. Nobody's in it, but that's okay. We're coming pretty close to the end of my time here for today. Might hop back on a little later. Well, I think I'm going to try and plan for doing a stream tomorrow. Try and, you know, get some friends to rally and, you know, hang out on the Discord chat. I'll get our, fill some of that social void. I mean, I know that's why I'm doing this. Just trying to, you know, I mean, it's a, whoa, that was loud. Excuse to, you know, get some art done. I'm gonna mute this, tab over here. Facebook, is exceptionally loud. Caught me off guard. Yeah, you know, it's an excuse to get some art done. I mean, I do art on my own anyway, but I figure if I'm doing a sketch like this, why not share it? I've always been very impressed by people that can just stream for long hours and talk to themselves and nobody else. I suppose it would be good if I came up with, like, you know, some kind of stories or something to tell, you know, something thematic, but yeah, maybe I'll come back with some stories next time. I mean, I've got some, but I don't know. I'm a little short on time in terms of telling any good ones. But maybe next time I'll share the story of how I got bitten by a brown recluse, and that is true. That is not made up. Alright, I think I can, suffice to say, I can move on to the next window. Yeah, you know, sometimes art can be a little repetitive, but I find it, like I said, kind of meditative in a way. You know, just getting things to look nice. Maybe that's my OCD kind of kicking in, but you may notice I end up redoing a lot of bits and pieces of this That's just kind of, I mean, that is the wonders of digital art, is I have the freedom to do so without having to worry about overworking my page with eraser marks. But sometimes it can definitely, the ability to redo someone, knowing that you have, redo something, knowing that you have the capability to do so can definitely lead you to just, seek higher and higher levels of perfection, which maybe isn't always even a bad thing. I mean, it's certainly encouraging you to, seek, higher skill level in terms of your execution. And I think that any experience you're working on with art like this is probably a good thing. I think there's balance. I have to excuse my sniffles. Sometimes my tics flare up a little bit, and the sniffles are definitely one of the noisier ones. Definitely not ideal for streaming, I would say. I try to do my best to cut it down as much as possible when doing some stuff like this. And sometimes I actually I get in the zone with something like art, and my tics actually die down a lot. Find, there's every once in a while I can just kind of tap into this little zen in terms of, suddenly the need, the urge to tick is just died down, and because I've just sort of almost forgotten about it. So that's kind of, what I try to do with life in general, but, sometimes I have other stuff I gotta concentrate on. A lot of the times, life doesn't necessarily give you the breathing room to just focus on not ticking. But, it's something I've learned to live with over many, many years. I say that and it makes it sound like I'm an ancient being, but I'm only 25. I wonder how old people think I sound, to be perfectly honest. Suppose I'll never know if I never get anybody in this chat. Oh, hey, is that Nolan? Sorry, here, Nolan says, hey, it's a little hard to hear me. Yeah, let me see if I can bump up my mic settings a little bit. I'm also speaking very low. Let's see here. Yeah, I can bump up that mic volume a little bit. Is that going to be maybe a little better? Try that. I think that's good. Those levels are looking a little higher now. Probably just been murmuring to myself all this while. Just, murmuring, and nobody's been able to understand a word that I can say. Thanks for the heads up. How you doing, Nolan? Long time. Sorry, you'll have to forgive me if I don't check the chat as frequently. I get a little in the zone with the drawing, and I still haven't gotten used to turning and checking the chat frequently. A little better. I can pump it up more too. Let's try that. Let's see here. Open up my settings again. Alright, how about that? We'll just crank it up like 95% of the way there. Cool. Alright. Probably my low voice doesn't help. I've been accidentally sort of falling into almost like a Bob Ross style of very calm, very quiet. I think it's just because I'm sitting in a room alone, and I get very low energy when I'm sitting quietly alone. Oh, is Discord pooping the bed? Uh-oh. Looks like we have trouble connecting. Oh no. Oh, that's what's going on. The Discord chat is, messed up, huh? No, let me try rebooting. I bet you it's because everybody on the planet is on Discord right now. Let's see here. Rebooting Discord. Maybe Can't tell. It's probably server side, but maybe it was just an issue with my client because I have 10 different applications running at the same time. It's unbelievable the amount of things I need to do to get the music, to get the iPad capture, to get the streaming, all of this functional all at the same time. Yeah, Discord does not seem... Oh yeah, server outages and increased API errors. Currently investigating an issue where a number of Discord servers are completely unavailable. Yep, alright, well, I suppose this wasn't a great time to be testing out my new Discord widgets in the stream. Have to try again another time. Anyhow, I should probably hop off right about now anyway. I think my Catan game is scheduled to start. But Nolan, thanks for checking in, and yeah, Nolan says not just my server. Yeah, definitely the entirety of Discord is just not doing great right now. Yeah. Alright, well, we'll have to check in on that later, maybe tomorrow. I think as for me, I'm going to sign off. Look, I got a little bit of work done on some windows. I'm getting there, little by little. Maybe I will eventually even get to coloring this piece. Who knows? Alright, y'all. Well, thanks for checking in if you did. And Nolan, great to hear from you. I will check you all another time. Next time I'll be sure to actually like post this around more and you know, get the community involved. Alright, bye.